Hi, and welcome to my channel about living in and moving to Denver, Colorado. Today, we're talking about relocating to Colorado and what you can expect in the Denver metro specific area. Let's get started. Martineau, also known as the Real Estate Gal. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. I cover all things about moving to and living in Denver, Colorado, events to check out, things to do with your family, neighborhoods to potentially move to. So in saying that, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week. And as mentioned, my nickname is Katie the Real Estate Gal. If you need help with buying, selling, or anything in between, I'm your gal and would be honored to earn your business. So you gotta reach out, call, text, or email, whichever method is best for you. So when relocating to somewhere you've never been before, it is absolutely critical to get the correct expectations so that you're not let down or defeated or you feel like you're in the dark. So we're going to be covering 5 different things that you can expect if you are relocating to the Denver area. The very first thing is to determine the location of where you are looking. First of all, I would absolutely want to get on a Zoom call with you. It's really important to either have an initial phone call or Zoom call so we can get to know each other and start building that trust. I am an advocate for you, and I have heard so many horror stories of people reaching out to agents and they literally never meet them in person. How can you trust somebody if they're just essentially a robot that you're talking to on your phone or via email? So hopping on a Zoom call and then talking about your wants and needs and kind of a brief overview of what you're looking for, then we can whittle it down and help determine location. I have a ton of other YouTube videos that highlight different neighborhoods to check out, things to do that are within close proximity, and then just finding out your lifestyle. Do you like to be in the mountains every single weekend? Do you love to be near nightlife and essentially in the middle of the hustle and bustle? Or are you someone who is going to be a better fit for the suburbs, a little bit out and far removed where you don't even feel like you're in the Denver metro area, you're just amongst open land and space? So finding out what best fits your lifestyle is going to help us narrow down the different locations of where we should be looking. The second step is finding the home. So it is incredibly important, in my opinion, to come and visit Denver if you're able to before you take the leap and move here. Now, the reason being is something that could be a little obvious, but if you haven't been here before, you don't necessarily know what the neighborhood feels are like. So the location is the one thing that cannot be changed with the property that you purchase. Everything else can be modified, such as finishes in the kitchen or redoing a bathroom or adding maybe a carport or a garage depending on HOA or restrictions, but the location is something that you won't be able to change once you moved in. So if you're able to visit ahead of time, even if it's just for a weekend, then you can drive the different neighborhoods and make sure that you get the vibes, that you're within close proximity to something that's important to you, such as nightlife, school districts, grocery stores. I can do as much research as possible for you and with you. I definitely want to make sure that you are comfortable with location and finding that perfect home. Now, if you're unable to visit ahead of time, totally okay. I have a drone. I can do some drone footage of what it would be like to be in the different neighborhoods that you might be looking for. And like I said, I have a bunch of videos that you could check out so you can kind of get vibes. And we've had a lot of people on our team that have worked with clients that have not had the chance to visit before they end up moving here. So what we'll do is we'll do a FaceTime. I'll be brutally honest on that call. Whether are we close to a really busy public road, or is there a lot of foot traffic? Are we out in the middle of nowhere? Trying to give you as much information as we possibly can. So FaceTime is definitely a thing. I want you to be comfortable with what you see, or we can always do a hybrid of the two. Now, please keep in mind that let's say we go under contract and then you're able to visit. That is completely fine. So Colorado is a buyer-friendly state, meaning there are many areas in the contract that you can back out if you are not satisfied with the home, as long as you stick to dates and deadlines. So you can back out of the contract and still get your earnest money back. I will absolutely cover these specifications during what I call a buyer's presentation, and that'll put the process a little bit more at ease if you've never purchased a home before. So like I said, Colorado is a buyer-friendly state. If you don't like how the inspection inspection is showing up, if you don't like the HOA documents that are sent to you, if applicable, if the appraisal doesn't come back. There are many areas where if you change your mind on the home, as long as you stick to dates and deadlines, I'll walk you through the process because I absolutely want you to be comfortable with the home. Now, moving on to weather. Being prepared for weather is so important. We do have all 4 seasons in the state of Colorado. So we experience winters, summers, springs, and fall. Winter is I'd say about 2 months of a kind of a solid cold winter where you do want to be cautious of when it snows. I moved from Minnesota and moved to Colorado, and so I was spoiled with snow plows as well as the city salting the roads to melt the ice. They don't really do that in Colorado. Reason being is when it snows, it is typically melted by noon because of the sun and how close we are. It does get relatively hot even in the winter, or at least it can. So if your house faces north, just know that your driveway and porch might get a little bit of ice or snow that's not going to melt until later on, or maybe it won't melt at all. But the south side of your home is going to be absolutely perfect during the winter months. Now, if it's opposite and your house is south facing, then you're probably not going to have to shovel or salt very often. So there is a rule that you do have to shovel within 24 hours of a snowfall. Now, in saying that, I probably shoveled 3 times this last year. So not a ton. Like I said, the sun typically melts the snow. But then we get some really odd weather conditions, such as the bomb cyclone that we saw about 3 or 4 years ago in 2021 or 2020, I believe. It was a massive blizzard. It was bizarre, and it stayed, or all of the snow stayed for about 3 weeks. Now, this last year, we had about 12 inches of snow in 12 hours. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. So the weather is super duper variable. Now, moving on into the spring, in the later spring, we get hit with a ton of wet snow, which weighs down tree branches, and it can actually break them. If you're driving down the road and it just had a really wet snowfall, you'll see a ton of broken branches and things on the road. So in saying that, as it relates to home ownership, is to make sure that you have great gutters that are getting the water away from the house, as well as window well covers. This last year, we also had some massive downpours of rain where one of the homes that I was touring had about 2 or 3 inches of water in the window well. There was no covering on the window well, and that can really damage a foundation so much faster than you think. So something to be aware of when you're touring homes is to make sure that the water is being directed away from the home so that it doesn't compromise the integrity of the foundation. Then we move into summer, and we have a couple of false summers is what I saw a meme say, which I thought was kind of funny because it was 80 degrees during the day, and then all of a sudden for a couple days it'll drop down to 40 or 50 degrees for a few days, and then it'll pop back up. So it's very variable. And we've had such a wet spring and going into summer that I just turned my sprinklers on this last week. So just always be prepared for change in the state of Colorado. Fourth thing to expect if you are relocating to Denver is you need to give your body time to acclimate. Now, of course, there are so many people in the Denver metro area and their bodies are completely acclimated, but just know if you have health concerns or if you're elderly, sometimes it can take a little bit longer for your body to adjust. I did see a statistic that it was about 32 days that it takes your body to adjust, but just know hydration is so incredibly important. We are 5,280 feet above sea level. So your body gets dehydrated a lot quicker. You're going to need a lot of lotion and chapstick, especially if you're moving here from sea level. So don't be too hard on yourself. Everybody has a little bit of an adjustment period. Now, maybe TMI, but when I was visiting, I would only come for 2 or 3 days and then I would go back to sea level. I was living in Seattle at the time. I would actually get bloody noses when I went back because the air in Colorado was so dry. Now, everybody's body is different, so it was nothing to be concerned of. It was that I wasn't hydrating enough when I was visiting in here. So we are at altitude. Another thing that I needed time to adjust personally was I was in CrossFit when I was in Seattle, and I came to Denver and I was like, heck yeah, let's join a CrossFit gym. And so I was doing a CrossFit workout and I got winded so quickly. And CrossFit is super duper competitive. And so I was kicking myself because I wanted to win. I wanted to be the fastest person. So just give yourself a little bit of grace. Make sure you hydrate, make sure you use lotion as well as sunscreen. So we have 300 days of sun in the state of Colorado, if not more. We will potentially start the day off with a little bit of fog or overcast some of the days, but it typically always gets sunny at some point during the day. It's pretty rare that we just have a day of kind of overcast or darkness for the entire day. So sunscreen is incredibly important. You will burn a lot faster. In fact, on the news, they have a UV index report when it is super duper hot, and you can even burn in the wintertime as well. So if you are on the slopes and you're skiing or snowboarding, just watch out because the rays do hit the sun and it reflects up onto your face. My aunt was skiing and she had her goggles on, didn't put sunscreen on because she's like, it's winter, I'm not gonna burn. And she had the reddest Rudolph nose that you can imagine from the reflection on the snow. So just always put sunscreen on, always protect your skin. And bonus, it prevents you from fine lines and wrinkles. The fifth and final tip for relocating to Denver is I want to talk about vehicles. So just because we are super duper close to the mountains does not mean you need to go out and get an all-wheel drive car or a four-wheel drive car. It's okay to have two wheels, but just know that if you are a frequent visitor of the mountains, you should probably get snow tires or consider purchasing a car that has that all-wheel drive capability. Reason being is if you're taking I-70 to the mountains or really any road, you are driving on the side of a mountain, which means if you get in an accident, it is incredibly difficult for those rescue cars or tow trucks or whatever to get to you. You can actually get a ticket if you hold up traffic because it can get so gnarly and so bad. We have so many visitors that come during the winter months as well as the summer months for camping, snowboarding, ice climbing, you name it. We have a ton of tourists that are here, and so that means that there's a lot of cars on the road. So if you get in an accident and it takes an hour or 2 hours to get your car moved out of the way, you can only expect other drivers to be super frustrated that they are sitting in stop and go traffic. So there is an app that you can actually check before you head to the mountains. CDOT puts it on and it'll give you real-time updates on what you can expect for traffic. So there are a couple roads to go up and around so you don't have to take I-70 to the mountains. But regardless, back to cars. Snow tires is always a great thing. I have a couple friends that have the snow tires put on during the winter months and then they have them switched out and taken off after winter is complete. And if you have a big enough vehicle, typically commercial vehicles, they require that you carry chains. One kind of cool thing is you will see these runaway truck spots on the side of the road. So what it is if a semi, let's just say, is going downhill and they lose control, they can actually go up these runaway ramps that have a bunch of sand. Instead of plowing down the entire mountain, they just essentially coast up these ramps and then the sand will slow them down. I've actually seen this happen twice, and I was talking with somebody who's been here for over 10 years and they're like, I've never seen a truck in the runaway truck area. So driving in the mountains is a serious thing. You need to pay attention, especially if there is snow and ice on the ground. And I would definitely say that a Subaru is the Colorado car, if you will. I personally don't have one, but you see them everywhere, as well as Jeeps. People love off-roading on those Jeeps, and those videos are so terrifying to watch Jeeps go up these giant boulders, and essentially they are perpendicular with the land. That blows my mind and is absolutely terrifying to watch. I'm just sitting there like biting my nails the entire time of like, are they gonna roll? Are they gonna come back? All power to you if that's one of your hobbies. So just be aware that if you are driving in the mountains, I would highly recommend either snow tires or an all-wheel drive car. You can always rent a car too and take it on a weekend getaway if you're not interested in investing in a brand new car. But always keep in mind that if you are purchasing a home, purchase the home or property first. After close, then you can look for a new vehicle if you so choose. So those are my 5 tips for relocating to the Denver area. As mentioned, I am a licensed real estate agent in this state, so if you need help with buying, selling, or anything in between, I'd be honored to earn your business. So please call, text, or email. I would love to help. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later this week.